Another European country is quickly bouncing back from the crisis. Iceland has now announced a major mortgages write-down scheme to speed up its growth even further. Katie Pilbeam, the host of Venture Capital, now joining me live to discuss this. Good to see you, Katie. Homeowners getting a helping hand.
Yes, makes a change, doesn't it?
Sure
so
does.
The Icelandic government, they're going to inject $1.25 billion to help out people that are really struggling with higher costs of living. So what they're going to do is they're going to inject this money. It's going to be half in mortgage pay downs, another half in tax exemptions. It's going to help 100,000 people, which probably doesn't sound a great deal, but that's actually a third of the population of Iceland. Now, having said this, this is going to be 9% of the total country's GDP, which is 14 billion. So they're really investing into this one. But not everybody's happy about this. Credit rating agencies are advising against this. They're saying austerity is the way forward, as well as the IMF too.
Austerity is the way forward. Gosh, we haven't heard that before, have we, Katie?
Not a lot.
No, not a lot. Now, listen, some people are saying, though, since 2008, Iceland has actually come rather a long way. It
has done, very much so. If we rewind the clock, it was pretty much a disaster. The first domino to fall in the whole financial crash, and it affected pretty much most of Europe and externally as well. And that's because lots of countries had assets in the international banking system that was Iceland. As a result, we had international debt 6 times higher than the country's GDP, which is pretty startling. Stock market plunged 90%. Inflation surged 18%. We had unemployment rising 9-fold. That's just to give you an idea of what happened. So the government, they stepped up, and this is what they did. So they decided to go against what the rest of Europe was doing. So they paid off consumer loans, first of all. That's the first thing they decided to do. They forgave mortgages as well. So again, they helped out the people that were struggling. They burned bondholders instead of using taxpayers' money. Again, the opposite of a lot of what the European Union decided to do. And interestingly enough, they put some of the bankers in prison for what they did. They did indeed. So they did go against it. And also want to remind you that they've paid their IMF loans back early. OK, they're still enduring recession. There's a long way to go. But if we consider the situation they were in 2008, it's quite a comeback.
So Iceland paid off their debts early.
They did,
to the IMF.
To the IMF, which was a shock at the time.
Not what the IMF wants, because it likes having the high interest loans, force-feeding the government to make them pay back super high interest. Iceland actually doing something for its people, as opposed to the Eurocrats in Brussels doing everything for the banks.
You know, it's good that you said that, because the OECD, they've actually warned against that. They've said this isn't advisable to be so harsh on the banks.
Gosh.
I know, shock horror.
I suppose Iceland is far enough away, geographically speaking, they can get away with this kind of thing. But perhaps to other European leaders, take note. Don't always do what the IMF wants you to do. Try looking after your people for once.
There we are.
All right, the host of Venture Capital, Katie Pilbeam. Thank you.